nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. Joining me is the guru, the man, the myth, the legend behind the power rankings. Rafa, how are you on this chilly evening?
Good day. It was a good day today. We won the Madrid Derby for the Copa del Rey. Little comeback. Nice little comeback like last year. I think it's
Trophy?
gonna happen. Well, we're 2 games away from a trophy, so.
All right. So if you hear my kid yelling in the background,
He's screaming goal for the Vinicius goal.
But it's that time of the year where we introduce Rafa's 2023 Power 15. We ended with Rafa's 2022 year-end top 20 for boys and girls, but for doing the season, we're going to do Power 15 for the hair for both the boys and the girls. So before we get into the rankings, kind of tell me a little bit about how you come up with these. Obviously some eye tests, looking at the schedules, looking at the standings, but how do you come up with these? And like I said, of course, these are just for discussion points for that here.
Yeah, what it's similar what I do with 50-50, like with the state power rankings. These are my pound for pound top 15 teams, but for our local area, the local San Antonio metro surrounding areas, teams are in their districts and so forth. And what I do, like I said, I waited for a while here because I know there are some that have already done other polls and this and that. And like, I'm not gonna, I want to wait and see, kind of let it marinate first, and then see who comes out of the, after 2 weeks and maybe a couple district games. So who really is a contender, who's a pretender. And like I said, I'll do my research. I look the team schedules, look at the games, who they played, where they're playing at, and so forth. And this is a list I've come up with. Some may not agree, some may not. It was tough because there are some teams I can tell you there were on the cusp of coming in. If I did do like an honorable mention, like I said, maybe I'll do that the next time. But there are some that were that close. But things change. Like I said, once you go deeper into the playoffs, you start to know more and more who are those breakouts, who are the top teams, and the pound for, like they say, the pound for pound teams here for our area.
So we'll start out because the girls are first here. Any honorable mentions or ones that are just on the cusp off the top of your head?
There was a couple, and some of them are surprises. Like one for example, is it's a new school. And they just, they opened up this year was the Sotomayor Lady Wildcats. Mm-hmm. They've done well so far in their district play and also their non-district play. They were, like I said, on the cusp of cracking into the top 15. Another team to kind of also keep your eye on is the Warren Lady Warriors. That's another team. Keep an eye on them. 29-6A for girls, it's going to be stacked. I know there's some 3 teams that have been kind of ruling the roost the last couple of years, but there are some teams there that that might be coming in and throw some things off, and it's going to be a wacky year for 29-6A because you never know, someone can pull off an upset and take that next step, like what happened last year when it came down to the final couple games.
I will say Sotomayor not being on there for me was a little bit of a shock because they are 3-0 in district. It's got a decent record. So let's get in to see who is in the top 15.
Sure.
Starting out at number 15, Kerrville Tybee, 4-2-1 out of 5A26. Has not started district yet, but your thoughts on Kerrville?
Yeah, this is what I've been hearing. This is the team to watch for that district. They've done well. What I've heard, have a lot of talent, and they may challenge, some like teams like Simpson Valley, New Braunfels Canyon, even Bernie Champion. So keep an eye out for them. They could end up maybe getting that fourth spot in that, those playoffs. So that's what I have right now for 15 is Kerrville Tybee. We'll see if they move up next couple of weeks. Like I said, so good luck to them on their upcoming season. But they're my number 15 pound for pound team for the girls' side.
14, also from 5A26, Como Canyon Cougarettes, 7-2 for that.
Yeah, this, like I said, District 26 is for 5A. It's loaded for, especially in the girls' side. It's a loaded district. What can you say about the Canyon Cougarettes? They've had a good season. I actually got the pleasure of seeing them actually live stream one of their games against Austin Bowie, which was another tough opponent from the Austin area, and they were able to win that game. Keep an eye on them. Like I said, they're going to challenge also, Bernie Champion and Swinson Valley in that district. So it's going to be a barn burner this year. But like I said, I can see Comal. I mean, the Canyon Cougarettes get into the playoffs.
There is one team you haven't mentioned yet from that district through here. So let's see if they slide in or if they suffer from new team syndrome as well here. Number 13, Lavernia. If you saw the tweet here, you knew that they were 13 because I like 13. And Lavernia happens to be in both polls. The boys are little tease here, probably ranked a little bit higher than the girls, but 5-2. 4 out of 4A, the first 4A team here, ranked in the Rafa's 2023 Power Top 15.
Yeah, Lavernia girls, like I said, they've started the season great. I think, like I said, they're going to be the favorite for their district. And we'll see how they contend with some, like especially with District 26 4A. That's probably the toughest district for 4A here in Region 4. Can the Lavernia girls, knock off one of those teams and, to go deep into the playoffs and hope, eventually get to that regional tournament down in the valley. So keep an eye on Lavernia.
On you on that, on your last comment, because I think 26 is tougher than 27 with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They got to keep an eye on 26 because, like I said, Lavernia is going to have the challenge. See, in order for them to go to the deep in the playoffs, they're gonna have to be one of those teams.
But that's postseason. This is regular season right now. Speaking of 26, the first entry, Como Davenport 10-3-1 on the year. 4A schools and a lot of the 5A schools have not hit the district play as of yet, but that's coming up soon.
Yeah, what can you say about Davenport? They're already double-digit wins, but like I said, they're in that brutal district. Like I said, with Wimberley, Canyon Lake, and also the defending Region 4 chance for 4A, the Bernie Lady Greyhounds. It's going to be a dogfight for in that district. And last year, remember, all 4 teams made it to the third round, and they faced each other. So, and like I said, I think I can see Davenport back in the mix again, getting to that going 3 deep again.
Speaking of 4A26, the first place team currently right now, Wimberley, 9-0-1 with 1 draw. Thoughts on Wimberley at 11? I thought that was kind of just being up front, probably a little bit low for their record.
Yeah, but like I said, they kind of comparing schedules and so forth. Like I said, I'm not putting down Wimberley. They said they're a great team. They were the district champs last year. Like I said, they were knocked off by the ladies from Bernie, but I think I said they'll be up there contending for the district title. They did have a good result, it was a tie. It was a comeback win against Alamo Heights, so that's shows me that hey, they're going to be right up there to contend and for that regional title.
Reagan Rattlers at number 10, 4-3-1. Oh, I forgot to put their district. Which is 6A 28.
Yeah, 28.
Yeah, I forget that. But 2-1 in district so far. Overall record not the most convincing, but I know this is the pound per pound. So especially where you got Wimberley that's got the nice shiny record. Reagan kind of, overall record not as shiny, but pound by pound, how do they shape up?
Yeah, they've been pound for pound as far as playing really good quality teams, especially when they played against the defending 6A champs, Salt Lake Hurl. They did have a setback this week against the Lee girls, but like I said, they do have talent. They're a very talented team. The record may not reflect that, but they've played some top level competition so far this year. And like I said, I see them moving up and also getting one of those playoff spots in that tough District 28 6A.
Our first taps for the ladies here. Church John Paul II, the Guardians 19-4-1, 4-0 in district. The state champions for taps, Region 3, District 4. Tough if they're at 9. Not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like last year. They came out of nowhere and ended up becoming our number one team. So, like I said, they've had a couple setbacks. I know they had a loss with Antonian, but they had 2 big wins this week. They knocked off New Braunfels Christian Academy and Geneva. And so they're right now sitting in first place in their district for taps. But I see them, moving up. Like I said, keep on the lookout for them. Getting that repeat for that state championship.
Speaking of taps, Antonian, the Lady Apache 17-2-3, Region 1, District 2. 17-2-3, 6-1 in district here. Your thoughts on the Lady Apaches?
A great season for them this so far. Like I said, earlier in the year, early in January, I got to see them play. Great team. They had a great showing at the Northeast ISD Showcase. They had 3 wins. And like I said, they only have 1 setback in district play. But like I said, I feel they'll sure have no problem winning their district. They're in taps. And again, hopefully this year they go deeper into the playoffs. So that's what I'm hopefully looking for.
I'm going to push back on them winning because they got 2 Houston schools, St. Agnes and Houston Prius X Catholic school here. So I think as far as for regular season, they're getting pushed a little bit more, which is going to hopefully help them out come the playoff time here. It wouldn't shock me if they finished, top 2. I don't think they'll fall out of that, but their one loss was to, I think St. Agnes, of Houston. So they'll have a rematch here to see if they can even it up.
Yeah.
But I'm not as convinced as you as that they're going to be able to pull it off. But I do think they'll go deep in the TAPS playoff, or they should go deep in the playoff here. But I do think that this district is setting them up, for much better playoff success.
Yeah, and like I said, I know they had that 1 setback, but I think they can get that win back and may end up with a co-district title or maybe even outright. It's right. Like I said, it is a tough district where they're at, but like I said, hopefully they'll, all this non-district games they've played, it's going to lead them to, a deeper run into the playoffs which is going to become pretty soon because it'll come February. They're going to start couple weeks.
Number 7, the Lady Dragons from Southwest District, 5A District 28, 6-2, has not started district. I think they start district this week, if memory serves me correct, for this district here. But your thought on the Dragons?
Southwest, they're looking great. I've seen them twice already. Once against Harlan, once against Wagner. Quality team, great touch of the ball. I know they had 2 tough losses. One against Bernie, which, like I said, that's no shame on that because Bernie, like I said, they made their state semifinalists, and then also a really tough Los Fresnos team. Not Los Fresnos team. I was trying to think who else. I know they had it's another setback. I need to check their schedule, but I know they had with another tough district, another opponent that was that's ranked pretty high in the region. So no shame on that. So they're playing quality teams. Hopefully that will help them out. Get to. I know last year they got bounced by Liberty Hill. hopefully they could get past that and go to deeper into the playoffs.
They lost to San Antonio Christian.
San Antonio Christian's actually,
and those were back to be in the North Side in NEISD North Side tournament back January 6th and January 7th. They suffered back-to-back losses. So, moving on to number 6, 4A26, the Burning Greyhounds, 9-2 on the year.
Yeah, you're defending Region 4 4A champs. Great start of the season right before district play. I know they start off the district play against Fredericksburg. I think it was Friday. In that crazy district they're in with Wimberley and Davenport and Canyon Lake. So I expect big things for the Burning Greyhounds, to be a contender for that district title. I know that a couple of little setbacks. I know one of them was against O'Connor, which no shame on that. O'Connor's got a great team, but Bernie's not shying away playing some of the tougher teams, and and the whole reason why for that is to get ready for district play because they know it's going to be a playoff game. With Wimberley, Davenport, and Canyon Lake coming up, starting this Friday.
O'Connor, speaking of O'Connor Panthers, the Lady Panthers at number 5, 8-3 and 3-1 in district in 6A29.
Yeah, O'Connor's done great start of the season. I know they had one where me and Coach Connor was there Friday, the live stream. That was our girls' game of the week last Friday against Taft. They did fall short, but they did bounce back and they got a quality win against Brennan. And they, like I said, just keep an eye on them for this season. And hopefully, like I said, they got a rematch with Taft in the second half of that district. That could determine who wins that district title, just like last year's. So I'm sure they'll bounce back and be ready for that game. I think that game's going to be at Ferris Stadium. And what I've seen, they play a little bit better on the turf, and like I said, maybe than on the grass.
The speed.
Yeah. And so maybe they'll make some adjustments because, like I said, they had some great opportunities in that game against Friday. I mean, they took it, went toe-to-toe with Taft, but Taft was able to get one in, and then I got the second one towards the end. So it's going to be a heavyweight fight here when they meet again. So, but like I said, O'Connor I have a number 5, and like I said, I can see them moving up in the rankings in the next few weeks.
Number 4, Alamo Heights, 7-0-3 with 3 draws, 4-0 in district. So a lot to like for Alamo Heights for the Lady Mules.
Yeah, Lady Mules starting out great. Like I said, I know they played a tough non-district schedule, and right now 4-0 in district play. I honestly think they're going to run away with the district title, and hopefully, like I said, wherever their draw is, they'll be able to. I think their goal is to get past the first round, second round. I can see them getting to a third round, third or fourth round.
Moving on to number 3, Smithson Valley Rangers, undefeated at number 3 in a tough 5A26 district.
Yeah, that district is going to be a killer district, but Smithson Valley moved down from 6A to 5A. They've, so the girls, like I said, I got to see them play at the Ranger Classic. Great team, a lot of experience, touching the ball, moving up and down. They're probably my favorite as far as maybe winning one of the region for 5A. Maybe there might be some other team that might have a say, and I know right now that team right now, their record doesn't reflect on it, but like I said, come district play, like I said, we'll see more into how, especially when those two teams meet. But Smithson Valley, like I said, I have a number 3. Like I said, they're on the right track and trying to breaking through to get to Georgetown.
So I will say I am kind of surprised that the Piper Lady Warriors did not make the top 15. Because, spoiler alert, they're not in the top 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Kerrville Tivy for that here. I know it's the pound by pound, but I think to me this kind of my pushback against the pound by pound for Rafa is the 2 new schools have put up good records, and unfortunately they're getting passed by veterans, don't get me wrong, and heavyweights of it here. But I won't lie to you, I was a little surprised that the Piper Warriors did not.
Yeah, they're on the cusp. They're also on the cusp too. So
but that's that district when district starts to play this
Friday, I believe.
Lanier Highlands. Actually, hold on 1 minute here.
Yeah, I think they start this
Kerrville
Friday.
Yeah, the 27th. Yeah, so they start. So I think you'll start to see it shake out. And we'll see if Smith or not Smith, but Piper and Sotomayor are the real deal. For that if they can continue with it. Number 2, and this is another one that I have here. Kind of a bone to pick for you after we do these next picks. The Lee Lady Volunteers, 10-0, 4-0 in districts. Had a good win over, I believe it was Reagan, right?
Reagan, yep.
They had
1-0
quality win over only number 2.
Well, this was a tough one, like with them and our number one.
Number 1 is the Taft Lady Raiders, 7-3, 7-0, 3-0 in district. I know you saw them as part of the game of the week this week here, but differences between 1 and 2. Really, number 3, 1, 2, and 3 as well, because they're all undefeated. They're all quality programs. They've all got good history. Just kind of how did you make that determination on 1, 2, and 3 for that here?
When you look at teams, you have to see what sometimes they have that little swagger, but that little edge, and also the chemistry. Nothing bad on Spencer Valley because they're a great team, and like I said, they could be our number 1 too. Same thing with Lee. Lee, like I said, they've had some two big wins and on a blowout win versus Brandeis, and then the big win versus Reagan. That's why I have them up there. Like I said, and if they can stay consistent. Like I said, I want they could sneak into number 1. But what I've looked at when I saw Taft, especially that game against O'Connor, I can see that they have that. From what I saw from last year to this year, they really have improved their team and the chemistry and the very physical team, and they grind it out. They find a way to, like I said, that game versus O'Connor, they had to find a way to win, and they were able to do it. They had some adversity in that the first 15 minutes in that second half, and they're on the ropes, but they're able to keep the composure, and then they just ended up shifting that momentum and end up winning that game 2-0. So like I said, that's why I have Taft number 1, because of that consistency, that drive, and like I said, they've really improved that team from last year to this year. But it's like I said, it was a tough choice as far as picking the number 1 out of those 3. But like I said, I'm going to give the edge right now because they're really playing their best right now with the Taft. And like I said, not to say that the other 2 are not, but I can say,
to me, like I said, you've got 3 quality teams, and probably even there's a little bit more, depth there. But just looking at record wise and big heavy hitters, the top 3, Smithson Valley, Lee, Taft. All with great records, all with good resumes, and like I said, it's going to be an interesting February before we get to playoff March here for the March Madness for Texas soccer.
And the one thing with the 3 teams, they're all in really tough districts. They're probably one of the toughest districts in the state. One thing with Taft, for this past week, they knocked off Brennan and O'Connor. And those are the 3 teams that were fighting for the district title last year. Yeah. So for them, so they had a really good week, knocking off the top 2 teams, to kind of the contenders in that district. So, excuse me, like moving forward, like I said, I'm looking forward for that rematch. That one's going to be in Ferris, I think, sometime in February, and that could determine who wins that district title. O'Connor, like I said, they can build some momentum going into that game and maybe, get that one back like they did last year in the playoffs.
And injuries will play a part of this as well. And unfortunately, hopefully all teams stay healthy, but we know in any high school sport that injuries do pop up here and there, and the depth of the teams also show as well here. But any final thoughts on the ladies before we move over to the boys at this point?
No, I'm just, like I said, looking forward to see how the first round of the district plays off. I know some are already kind of already deep into the playoff, like the district play, like Lee and Alamo Heights and Fort. Some are barely starting, like Davenport, Wimberley, and Bernie. So we'll find out in a few weeks after the first round who's really there's going to be some shake, some teams moving up, some teams moving down.
Well, I remember last year we thought some teams got up to a slow start, and we're like, hey, when it comes to district, they'll rebound, and some did, and unfortunately some didn't. And
I'll give you one. I'll give you one that probably a lot of people are like, "Hey, where are they? Why aren't they ranked?" Which is the defending 5A Region 4 champions for the girls, which is Bernie Champion.
Yeah,
Why aren't they ranked high? The record doesn't reflect on it, but look at the teams who they've played. And I think they're going to be very prepared going into. I think they saw the big picture last year with that run they made last year, with knocking off Dripping Springs and then losing in the semifinal. I think they had to play teams, up to that caliber, even though the record doesn't reflect. But I see them, making a run in the district play. So keep an eye on them. Like I said, just because the record's not good doesn't mean, like I said, we could see them in a few weeks in the rankings.
So, and this, this is kind of a question here, because you've got some teams that's got 8-10 games played, and then you've got others, kind of looking at 5 and 6A, because I know 4A is a little bit more different issues with the smaller budgets and stuff like that. But you look at Bernie Champion, they played 6 matches. Now they've been quality matches, but if they had played 8 to 10 matches there, even if they were, teams that, they could beat, or, maybe not as tough of competition, where it helps the record out, is it better to play tougher competition, even if it's fewer games, or go into some of these showcases or tournaments where you may get 1 or 2 challenging matches, but also 1 or 2, kind of, I don't want to say cupcakes, but lower level teams that don't really challenge you.
I think if you look at their perspective, they see the big picture as far as, what do we need to do to prepare to get into, like I said, we made the semifinals last year and we lost. What do we need to do to prepare to play teams at that level or that caliber? So that's why they go to those top-notch showcases, like the Georgetown Showcase, or, so forth, the Northeast ISD Showcase, or I-10 Shootout. That's preparation for them, because they understand that their district's going to be a grind out. It's a playoff to that district they're in, and all that's going to, like I said, the payoff is it going to be the district title, and also does it lead to a deep run into the playoffs? And they know, like I said, they also have to run into some teams in the Austin area. You got to keep an eye out, like Cedar Park and like Liberty Hill. Those are some quality teams from that area. If you look also maybe in the Valley too, there's some quality teams from the Valley, or even the coast, like Gregory Portland or Veterans Memorial from Corpus Christi. So you have to keep in mind of those teams. That's why I think it's gonna pay off for them. And we see the payoff with them lifting the district title. Like I said, they're going to be, like I said, one of the favorites, trying to win the region.
Yeah, I think whoever finishes 3rd or 4th in that district is going to be a tough out in the playoffs, facing somebody that's 1st or 2nd from the other districts here. But moving on to the Power 15 boys, any teams honorable mention or that just missed the cuffs off the top of your head? I know we mentioned that. Hey, we'll probably have this a little bit more formalized as far as just missed. For here.
There's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple of teams. One of them I was and that's actually one of them in the same district with them, like the Kennedy boys. They've been to the surprise this year. I think moving down from 5A to 4A has really helped them, and I do see them, making for their district, a challenging for their district title, and also, trying to see if they can get a deep run into the playoffs. I know they're going to have to run into, maybe like a Bernie Champion or a Wimberley or one of the teams from the Austin area, or even the Valley too. You got great teams like Hidalgo and Progreso. So it's going to be a challenge. This is a good start for them. Like I said, build some confidence, and hopefully it leads to some better things into the playoffs. There's a couple other teams, some 6A teams. They've had some tough losses, but the thing is, they're playing qualities like Johnson's. Johnson's another good team to keep an eye out for. Even in the district, the north side district, you got teams, maybe like Brennan and Warren, O'Connor. Like I said, we're kind of like on the cusp there as well too. And then even some of the SAISD teams, you keep an eye on Edison. Edison, I know they had a tough loss, this week, but they, seeing them, that big one they had over Davenport, that comeback win, like I said, they have the quality enough to make some noise, into not only in their district but also in their playoffs.
So let's get to number 15. Piper Warriors 9-2-1. The new school up in Como. Very nice school, I will say here, having visited when Stevens played. But your thoughts on the Warriors?
Great season for the for starting their varsity play, and like I said, they're in a tough district. That 26 4A district, 27 4A district. It's going to be brutal because, like I said, you have Swenson Valley boys, you have Bernie Champion, you have the Canyon Cougars. So it's going to be a dogfight for them, but they've played some good quality teams. I think they'll, like I said, I have a good feeling they're going to be challenging for one of those playoff spots. Come March.
Number 14, Memorial, the Minutemen, 8-2-1. I believe this is the first time they've made it because I don't believe they made it last year. 4A District 27.
Yeah, this is the first time for them, and like I said, they've been consistent. I think that moved from 5A to 4A, playing teams, kind of equal as far as the enrollment, has helped. And this could be a breakout year for them. I know they're in a tough district, but with Lavernia, and they could challenge them, and they have the players to make that run for the title. But like I said, I have a feeling I think they're gonna have a good opportunity getting into the playoffs this year.
How close was Kennedy to Memorial? I know they were similar records. Memorial's 8-2-1. Kennedy's 8-4-2. Per Max Prep. MySanAntonio.com.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Memorial got the nod, but huge difference, or just that a little bit more consistency with Memorial.
Yeah, a little more consistency with them, but like I said, it's going to be a great matchup because, like I said, they're both Edgewood IZ schools. They're going to meet when they meet. That could be lead to, that game. Whoever can win that game could get a foot into, contending for a district title and also getting a good seeding in the playoffs too, as well. Like you mentioned, getting the 1 and 2 seeds probably the best way. Is probably the best route again as far as getting to deep into the playoffs, and
especially in 4A. Especially in 4A. Bernie Champion, number 13, lucky number 13, 3-0-1, a team that's hasn't had a lot of matches, at least that I'm able to find that's been reported. Your thoughts on the Chargers?
Yeah, so far, like I said, we haven't seen too many games for what the games we've seen here. Like I said, there's some good wins. Hopefully they'll bounce back from last year. Last year was a very disappointing season for them, and like I said, they're usually one of the powerhouses for 5A, and hopefully this year they'll, like I said, they'll contend for that, that 27 5A district title, that 26 5A district title, and they have Piper in that district, Comal, I guess Swenson Valley. So I think they'll be in the mix and getting for fighting for the title and getting a good playoff seed as well.
Moving to number 12, TMI, 12-3, 12 wins, 3 losses, 5-1 in district from TAPS, Region 2, District 4.
Yeah, TMI, like I said, they've been state champs in the past. So far, a great start of their season. Already, like I said, into district, halfway into their district play, just with 1 loss. Like I said, hopefully this year they can avenge that loss, to try to wrap up that district title and also make another run for try to add to their hardware there with state title. So keep an eye on TMI. I think they have a good opportunity to go deep this year.
And that district's a lot tougher with Brownsville, St. Joseph Academy, and Laredo, St. Augustine to go with San Antonio Christian. So very, very tough district to get them ready for the TAPS playoffs coming up here for that here. Number 11, the Steel Knights from Cibolo, 6-3 on the year.
Yeah, Steel, like I said, great team, good team. Like I said, good record. I think the district they're in is kind of, I think the Ferret going in was going to be New Braunfels, but Rojau's, I know they played some quality teams. The record doesn't reflect on that. But we're, like I said, Steel on their hand, they've been kind of a little more consistent. So I think they start district play this week. But it's good to see Steel back. I know they've had some, tough. Last year was tough on them, but this year I think I see good things on them. I know they have some talent out there, and I think they can contend for that, for that district title, with against New Braunfels, and also another challenger would be Clemens.
They don't start district at least until next week because
Yeah.
they
Okay.
play San Angelo Central and Memorial, which would be a good match on the 31st.
Yeah, that San Angelo Central games should be a good one because San Angelo Central is one of the better teams in Region 1 for 6A, so that'll be a good test for them.
So, but yeah, so because they're in a district where dripping, I say this every
It was
episode,
6 teams.
dripping
Yeah.
spring should be in there. So, but it is. Number 10, Harlandale, the Indians, 11-1-1. Nice record, but I have a feeling you're kind of giving them the Southwest treatment of a couple of years ago, where despite the record, maybe the record's a little bit fool's goldish based on who they played.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, they had some good wins, but they also, the couple that loss, was against one of the teams that, that are one of the consistent ones that we see playoffs in year out. But it's a good start for them. Like you mentioned, Southwest has had a lock on that district. They've pretty much ran away from the other teams. Could this be the year that maybe a team challenges them? Is it Harlandale? So far they've played well. Looking forward to seeing them hook up. In a couple of weeks, and we'll see if they're a contender. But like I said, I have them at number 10. Like I said, good start of the season. But so once they get to that first test against Southwest, we'll see if they're a contender or pretender.
Yeah. Number 9, Reagan Rattlers. This one might be a little controversial. 4-4-2, 2-1 in district. I believe there's another 4-4-2 team that did not make it from the same district, if my memory is serving me correct. For that here, Johnson 4-4-2, identical records. Reagan in at 9. Johnson's not in at all. Your thoughts on the difference, number 1, between Johnson and Reagan, and number 2, how is it just because Reagan's got the history and I know it's the pound by pound. They've looked good despite the record.
I know Johnson did go out east and played some good quality teams, but Reagan's played some of the more elite teams, for the pre-district season. They went out to the Austin Lakes, showcase, and they went to, the North Texas one, and they had some wins, and they had some losses, but they're still a team to contend with. They had a lot of talent. I did see them a couple of weeks. I've seen them twice. And, they put up, like I said, one of the non-district games against Stinson Valley. They put a hammer in on them. They knocked them off 5-0. But then I saw them play against Clark, and that was a struggle for them. They won on a PK, and I was surprised that they weren't. Could it be injuries? And that's that's the thing when you're playing maybe some these elite teams. You could have some injuries or players maybe sick or something. Maybe that's how the record kind of reflects, but they're still a top caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
The record doesn't show. I know they had a tough loss this past Friday, which was against actually this past week, past Tuesday against Lee.
Right,
they lost 3-0. Yeah, 3-0. Yeah.
Right.
So I was a little surprised on that. On that, I thought it'd be a much tighter game, but I guess Lee maybe figured them out. But hey, so, like I said, they're going to face again. They'll have enough time to kind of fix some things, and who knows? The second round might be a different result. So
it's still early in district.
Yeah,
too, so.
Don't sleep on Reagan. The coach will get them ready to go, and they'll get in contention. Like I said, they're not out of as far as their district title race. They're not out of it. They'll still be in it.
I'm just saying they're a little high, for being at a 500-ish record. I'm just tossing it out there when you got Johnson out there as well. But these aren't the Harrys pound by pound; they're the Rafas pound by pound. Number 8, Lavernia on the boys' side. So both the boys and the girls from Lavernia made it 11-1-1. It hasn't started district. I know we've talked about Region 4, District 27 quite a bit already, but I think Lavernia is the class of that division. Is that correct? Even with Kennedy and Memorial there?
Yeah. Like I said, Lavernia, great start to the season. Can they bounce back from what happened last year? That when we did the bracketology, the early exit, and then also with the coaching change too. I know they had a coaching change this year. And so far, they're still, they're still being successful, and can this be the year that they go deep, and maybe face that? I mean, I'd love to see them face against Bernie in a playoff, like a third round playoff game. They're gonna have their hands full, like I said, with Kennedy and Memorial in their district. Maybe even Gonzalez. Don't sleep upon Gonzalez too, because they, like I said, they've been the playoffs the last few years as well. They've given some teams some trouble. But like I said, so far, like I said, Lavernia is a great season. So great season for them to start. Some good quality wins, and I think they'll be taking that momentum into their district play.
Not sure if you know this, but with Lavernia, it seems like that they are developing a good program. Do they have good academy structure? I know they're on the east side of San Antonio, in between, I guess, kind of in the middle between Seguin and us, a little bit south on there. But with both the ladies or boys and girls having good programs, do you know if they've got a good academy structure, or kind of what's feeding their success, if you have any knowledge?
I think what's probably feeding them is that they're putting up probably the hard work during the off season, and then probably most of their players are starting to play like in the club level. Maybe some of the high divisions. Whether State Classic League or EPNL or even Prime. But I think that's helping them playing there. It's helping them develop as better players. So when they come to play with their team, they're ready to go. And like I said, kudos to their coaching staffs, and also to get them prepared for these games and so forth. I think that's probably more likely been the difference, and which is good, because you got to work hard during the off season in order for you to get better, and that's with any sport. So, and I think I think they've really taken. I think last year we had really good insight how, with Lavernia's former coach, how they got prepared right before the season, and it's paid dividends, and I think they're sticking to that formula.
Central Catholic from TAPS at number 7, 9-3-1, 5-0 in district here. Your thoughts on the Buttons having, compared to last year, a lot more successful season, compared to 2022?
Yeah, they've been they've bounced back this season. Great record. I know they went to the Northeast Texas Elite Showcase. They had a good showing there, and so far they're 5-0 in district. They have a big game, I think, tomorrow night against the Antonian boys. Yes. They're at Antonian, so this could be the one. Like I said, this could be one of the games that really gets them closer to that district title for TAPS. And who's to say maybe this is the season that they take it far. I know they've been bouncing, when early on into the TAPS playoffs, but this could be the year maybe they get backed. Kind of like when the Jose Gallegos led them to the title. This could be the year for them. So we're wishing them luck. Hey, more harbor for San Antonio. We'll take it.
We'll take it. For here, number 6, Alamo Heights, 9-2, 4-0 in district.
What do you say about Alamo Heights? They've been one of the consistent teams here, traditionally here in San Antonio, and great start to the season. They had a great showing at their own tournament. They fell short, but they actually had a big tournament win in Corpus Christi. So they brought some hard water back, and they're already in the middle of district play. Some close games, they are being challenged, and I knew they would be challenged in that district. There's a lot of, because the SAISD teams are not just going to roll over for them. It's going to be a dogfight. This for the district play, and like I said, they got 4 good wins, and like I said, they're still my favorite to win the district title, and we'll see what they do. I know they had a good run last year. Can they take it up a notch and go deeper? And like in the past, when they gone to the regional tournaments and even to the state, the state tournament as well. So keep an eye on Alamo Heights. I think they have a good shot of
that. Bernie, 10-3-2, number 5. But a little bit I'm surprised a little bit how low they are. But your thoughts on Bernie with the success they've had the last couple of years?
Yeah, Bernie, like I said, they're one of the top 5 teams we have here, in our area. And like I said, they're also off to a great start, even though they have had some losses, but against quality teams. But that's been their formula the last few years on their title run. And they're gearing up already for district play, and it's going to be tough for them. But I see them, who's going to be the team in Ford that's going to challenge them and try to knock them off, and right now I don't see anybody currently right now. So like I said, they'll win. Like I said, they'll win the district title. They'll make another deep run. And I still have a feeling they're probably, like I mentioned in the 50-50 podcast, I still think they're going to do the three-peat. I think they have enough, players coming, with the players coming back, the quality goalkeeping and also the quality coaching they have, he gets them prepared for every single game. And, he's been there, done that. That's kind of like for them that, they have a real nonchalant, attitude about things, hey, we've been there, done that. We're just going to go there and take care of business. And that's worked for them. So, but like I said, keep an eye on Bernie. Like I said, you could see them moving up also in the rankings as well.
Brandeis, this one was a little bit of a contention here. I won't, a little bit behind the scenes here. You moved them up at the last second here. 5-0-3, 3-0-1 in district here. I know Coach Cano called you out a little bit on the initial rankings for Brandeis, a little bit behind the scenes, but your thoughts on the Broncos?
Yeah, I had to dig in a little bit deeper, into that because they're like, hey, you know what? Yeah, he kind of made a point a little bit, and like I said, they're a great quality team. Being in even the top 10s, it shows that you're one of the best teams in the area. They've done well a lot of the couple of the showcases. They had a good win against Rockwell Heath. They had a tie against Lee, which was I was there that game, and then that was a back and forth game. They could have won that game. There was one that they had a shot that hit the post.
Draw, right?
Yeah, they hit the post, and they were unlucky on there. And then they had Lee on the ropes for a little bit, and then they also survived too. They could have had a loss, but that from that PK that was not a good, not taken well. So. But like I said, Brandeis has bounced back. They knocked off Johnson. They had a 3-0 win versus Johnson, a good Johnson team, and I'm still waiting to see how they match up with Reagan. That's going to be a great game between those two. And like I said, right now it's kind of like for their district title. It's still a 3-horse race between Brandeis, Reagan, and Lee. So, don't count out the Broncos yet. If they can get things, the second game against Lee is going to be at Gustafson. So they'll be coming, to their place. And I know last year Brandeis did knock off Lee, which kind of affected a lot of the playoff seedings too. So, like I said, keep an eye on them. Great offense, great goalkeeping. Like I said, they're one of the teams that they can really surprise you. Like I said, they did get a tie with Lake Travis too. So that tells you something there. So, you can't take them lightly coming into the district play.
Number 3, Southwest, 7-1. Normally at this time they're still undefeated, but they did have a loss. But they have been playing tougher competition. I believe getting ready to kick off district play. I want to say this week here. For that here, I think tomorrow actually here. But yeah. Your thoughts on the Dragons?
Yeah, Southwest. What can you say? They've played well. They've been consistent. I know they lost some great players from last year's team, but they've kept up the level of play so far. They have a new coach as well too, so he's done a great job with the team. That one loss that they had was against Los Fresnos, who was one of the better teams from the Valley for 6A. So no shame on that. And that's been their kryptonite, the last few years, those Valley teams. So, like I said, it's a good showing for them to say, hey, what we need to take, to match up if we match up against a Valley team, in the playoffs.
So and beat what was it, Laredo?
Yeah, Alexander. Yeah, that was a good win for them because
comeback win on that as well. So
yeah, so that was a good win for them because Laredo Alexander's a 6A regional semifinalist. So to go down there to Laredo, they're at I think they played at Kruger Stadium, and they were down 1, and they came back and won that game. So it's a good win for them, getting them ready for their district play. Now, the game, probably the ones is going to be, the marquee game is going to be between them and Harlandale. Harlandale being 11-1.
Valley, I think will give them a push too. They've had a solid year, at least record-wise here.
Yeah.
But the district, unfortunately, is still a little bit light, as we've discussed.
So like I said, Southwest versus Harlandale is probably going to be your key game there. That's going to determine
one or two.
Yeah.
Harlan Hawks, 6-1-1. They beat Mike Stevens this week here, unfortunately. District 5-0. Thoughts on Harlan at number 2?
What can you say about Harlan? They've been very consistent the last 3 years, and they just, they've basically have gone 29-6, 29-6A, and they're gunning for another deep run to the playoffs, like they did last year. Last year they fell short against the defending champs like Travis, and I think they still have enough to make another deep run, but they still, like I said, they may have to come into contention, maybe one of those valley teams like Los Fresnos or Brownsville Rivera or even Brownsville Hanna. If they can get by them, I wouldn't be surprised to see them back into the regional tournament. So, like I said, kudos to that, their program being consistent. Like I said, I just don't see that anybody kind of challenging them there. And then 29-6A, they should have no problem winning the district.
And number 1, and I don't compared to the girls, I think this is a clear number 1. The Lee Volunteers 10-0-1, 3-0-1 in district. In my opinion, has been the class of the boys here in San Antonio up to this point here.
I mean, what can you say about Lee? Last year was a struggle last year for them. They had some adversity. And though they lost, in the first round of the Clemens, which was a shock to all of us, and I thought we'd maybe go 2-3 deep in the playoffs, kind of get it together. I think injuries did play a role from for their setbacks. But this year, they, like I said, when I went to go see them play against Brandeis, they look a lot better. Especially goalkeeping, they got a quality goalkeeper that I think he's just signed with Texas A&M San Antonio. So they'll be getting a good one there. And then the one thing I was impressed by them was what they did at the Austin Lake Showcases. They did not allow a goal there in those 3 games. And to come out of there with 3 clean sheets, that says a lot. And especially in that level of competition. So are they back? Yes, they are back. And I know they had that one tie with Brandeis, but like I said, Brandeis is a great team too. But that maybe they need to work on the penalty kicks, not try to do the Palenka or kind of take a page for some of the World Cup teams that won on penalty kicks. So, but yeah, Lee's a great team, and like I said, they had a 3-0 win versus Reagan. That was a statement game there to their district, like, hey, we're back, and be ready for us. And I see good things for them, and we'll see if they run into maybe in the playoffs like a Lake Travis or Vandergrift or Westlake, or even the one game I was impressed that they knocked off is Dripping Springs. They beat them at their place 5-0. That's a tough place to play.
So there is one team that I want to ask you about that did not make it. Out of 29-6A on the boys, and that's Holmes. 7-2-1. Looking at their record, their shows here that they lost to Warren 1-0. They tied Austin Travis. They did beat Kennedy, in the Edgewood tournament. The reason why I want to ask now is because they do play Harlan coming up on the 31st here. But your thought on Holmes, because historically they've been a good team, but not a great team along those lines here. And like I said here, to me, I wanted to kind of give them some love because they are having a good season, especially from past history, from their here. And so your thoughts on Holmes and are they knocking on the door? Obviously, if they beat Harlan or draw Harlan, I think that'll probably help. I'm on the Rafa, pound by pound map here, but your thoughts on Holmes?
Yeah, they're on the cusp on that, but like I said, I looked at their schedule. Like I said,
it's a little light,
which was a little light, but like I said, I'm not taking anything from them. They're a good team. I think they have to really make a statement against Harlan. Whether a tie would be a good result, but for them, if the main thing is we want to get into the playoffs,
right? And
if you want to get in the playoffs, you have to beat your top teams. And this is their first test. I think the first real test that they're going to have.
Yeah.
And if they can beat, Harlan, and then I wouldn't be surprised they get into the power rankings.
Yeah, because they beat Stevens and Sotomayor.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Stevens and Sotomayor are the strongest teams, but yeah, that's this it'll be an interesting week for them here. So let's look at kind of this past week, and we have added schedules here for it here. So just to kind of go through these here real quick here. Region 1, District 2 for the boys, as we discussed, Central Catholic, Antonian, St. Prius, the villages, and through here. Looking at this week's schedule, as you discussed here on the 27th, Antonian, Houston Prius plays Concordia Lutheran and St. Thomas, for here. But any thoughts on this one here outside of the big matchup here? It's really tomorrow's is a big match for Antonian, really, if they want to try to make a push, because I think they've already got 2 losses. So if they want to stay in the race for the district title, they've got to get the win.
And not only the district title, maybe even the playoffs too, because like I said, you see the village, they're only a game behind them. So
too, yeah.
And St. Thomas, a couple games. So this is the game. This is a game they need. They have to find a way to beat Central Catholic. It's kind of similar like last year's situation, in which Central Catholic didn't have the best record, but Antonian did, and they just couldn't, get those, the wins against them. So this is an important game that they can get a win. It's going to help, like I said, keep them in contention, not for the district title, but also in the playoffs.
So Region 2, District 4, TMI 12-3, 5-1, Brownsville, St. Joseph 9-6-1, 4-1, Laredo, St. Augustine. Overall record's not good, but 4-2 in district, and the San Antonio Christian Lions at 4-3, and then kind of a break here. Laredo, busy week. Played at St. Anthony's yesterday. I think it was actually moved to Monday. If I know some of the schools were doing that. TMI tomorrow, St. Mary's on Saturday, and then on the 31st against St. Joseph. So Laredo is going to have a hectic 4-game schedule. TMI's got St. Mary's, St. Augustine, St. Anthony's. Brownsville has a Marine Military Academy non-district, but Victoria, St. Joseph, and St. Augustine. So, your thoughts on Region 2, District 4?
This is TMI's district to lose. They got big games coming up, especially if they can knock off again, knock off Brownsville, St. Joseph. That's going to be. I don't think they have them on the schedule yet. I guess
not this week. Yeah, they got
not this week, but probably
yeah.
So they just have to stay ahead of them. Like I said, they're just like a half a game because, like I said, just a difference of game. Virtually they'd be tied for the district. But like I said, they still have San Antonio Christian, St. Augustine at their heels too. So TMI's got to remain consistent and get wins, and that way they can have that number 1 seed, so they can get them a good spot for going to the playoffs.
So moving to Region 3, District 4, Corpus Christi, Incarnate Word, 8-4, 4-1. New Braunfels Christians, 7-1-1, 4-1. The Atonement Academy, 6-5, 4-1. Corpus Christi's St. John Paul II, 3-7-1, but 3-1 in district. Geneva, 2-3. To me, the surprise, it's been a while since I've seen this. Church John Paul II, 3-10, 1-5 in district. So,
might be a rebuilding year. Might be a rebuilding year for them, or injuries, But the one, like I said, the one surprise has been the Atonement. Like I mentioned, they're in contention. Switching over from fall soccer to winter soccer. Last year. To make that turnaround, they've done a great job there. So, like I said, there's 4 teams there that they're in contention for that district title, and we'll find out who kind of breaks away from that little pack and takes control of the district.
Yeah, and for Atonement, they get the Incarnate Word on the 31st and Holy Cross. New Braunfels Christians gets Geneva and Our Lady of the Hills, and Our Lady of the Hills, and for Church John Paul here. For that here. So moving over to the ladies, Region 1, District 2, Houston St. Agnes 5-0, 11-5 on the year. Antonian 17-2-3, 6-1. Houston St. Prius 4-2, and then kind of a break here. Looking at the schedule, San Antonio Antonian plays at Incarnate or they played them on the 24th. But this week they play New Braunfels, where St. Agnes plays Concordia Lutheran, St. Prius, and the Village for the here. So, if you're Antonian, you're kind of hoping maybe St. Prius can upset St. Agnes to put you back level.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's not over yet. Like I said, Antonius within striking distance and tying it up and trying to also get that district title and to get that number 1 seed. So, and also the Incarnate Word girls too. They're still in contention to get one of those playoff spots as well.
Down at the bottom, yeah. Moving to Region 2, District 4, San Antonio Christian, 6-0, St. Anthony Catholic, 5-4, 3-1, TMI 3-2, Coach Cano's St. Mary Baron 2-3, Victoria 0-3-1. So I think top 4 make the playoffs here. So I think for Coach Cano and the St. Mary's Hall Barons, still some work to do. Hopefully to be able to move up, but San Antonio Christian seems like they're cruising in this region.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to end up winning this district. Like I said, I actually got to see them play, against Bernie High, and like I said, they did give Bernie High, the girls, a run for their money. They had quality talent, great midfielder. I saw that really good forward that they had. And they could really put some goals. So I think they'll end up clinching the district title, and then the second, third, and fourth spot. Like I said, it's within striking distance. To getting it. St. Anthony's been the surprise.
Mm-hmm.
St. Anthony still has to get by St. Augustine, which I think they will. But like I said, they run into San Antonio Christian, in the second game. St. Mary's, I think they can get up there. See if they can get past the team.
They get Victoria, St. Joseph's, and Laredo, St. Augustine. So if they can pick up 2 wins this week here on the remaining schedule, that'll hopefully set them up pretty well.
They can end up getting that second or third spot.
Moving to Region 3, District 4, Church John Paul, 19-4-1, 4-0, Geneva, 11-1, 4-1, New Braunfels Christian Academy, 8-4, 2-2, Holy Cross, 2-2, the Atonement Academy, 2-3. So the bottom of the playoffs, as far as for 3 and 4 is wide open. Obviously, I think Geneva and Church John Paul II probably set up as far as for the top 2 slots. But your thoughts on through here? Looking here, I'm just trying to see. New Braunfels Christian and Geneva played this week here. But yeah, not a lot of matches this week that kind of stand out as far as top teams battling each other yet.
Yeah, this week was kind of like the top 3 teams facing each other, and John Paul II was able to knock out Geneva and New Braunfels Christian. So they've already kind of starting to kind of pull away. The more, like I said, more likely that I think they're going to end. Like I said, they're going to end up winning that district title. The number 2 seed is probably going to be fought by Geneva and New Braunfels Christian. So I think they still have a game on hand. And then Holy Cross, what you can say, they may have 16 losses, but they're still in contention to get that final spot. So, if they can knock out, win out, they'll have an opportunity to get into the playoffs.
Or the Atonement Academy.
Them too.
For that here. So moving to 4A districts here. Not playing district yet. Bernie Greyhounds 10-3-2, Wimberley 6-2-1, Davenport 4-3, Fredericksburg 3-2-2, Canyon Lake 3-4, Bandera 1-6 this week here. Wimberley plays at Canyon Lake and home against Fredericksburg. Bernie plays at Fredericksburg and Davenport, which I think is a big matchup here. Davenport gets Bandera, and then at Bernie, Fredericksburg's Bernie, and then Wimberley, and then Canyon Lake plays home against Wimberley, and Bandera plays against Davenport. But your thoughts on the district here? I think what the Bernie Davenport match on the 31st is probably the big match of the week.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the big matches because that could determine, who wins this district. Even though it's a first round game, you want to get a foot ahead from your opponents. And like I said, to me, I think it's like a 3-horse race between Bernie, Wimberley, and Davenport. I think that 4th spot's probably going to come down to Canyon Lake and Fredericksburg, but I'm going to give the edge on Canyon Lake on that one.
Region 4, District 27 boys, Lavernia 11-1-1, Kennedy and Memorial, which we've talked about. Gonzales, from the outer reach on the east side, 8-6-1. Fox Tech and Yukon Bulldogs 3-1. Lavernia has Southside, New Braunfels, and Lavernia. These are all non-conference. Kennedy, Pleasanton, Clemens, San Antonio, or actually, I guess there is some districts here. San Antonio Memorial for that here. No, and they have Fox Tech up here, not Lavernia. Memorial has East Central, Kennedy, Pleasanton, and Gonzales. For that here, Yoakum doesn't have any matches again here, but Kennedy Memorial on the 31st, that one catches my eye.
Yeah, that's gonna be a real interesting game. I think if you put it back on the schedule, I think there's I don't know when. I know Gonzales has also a big game coming up. I think this week or next week, I believe. Let's see. I'm just trying to see what their schedule. Yeah, and Kennedy's, like I said, they got a big one with Pleasanton. So, and a couple of non-district games right before that 31st game. Lavernia, I'm interested in that game, that non-district game, Lavernia versus New Braunfels. That should be an interesting game there. It'll be a good test for them. I think
you're looking at next Friday, the 3rd, against Kennedy, that Gonzales travels to there for that here. So, but I didn't put it on this one because we'll have a show next Thursday for that here. So, but yeah. Region 428, Floresville 4-2-2. Pleasanton 4-5-3, Hondo, Somerset, Uvalde, Poteet, Pearsall. They're still listed on schedules, but we're starting to have doubts that they're actually playing this year, both on the boys and the girls side here. So we'll kind of make that determination if we need to remove them along there. But both Max Preps and SanAntonio.com. Both has them listed still on the schedule, so that I think is to be determined for Pearsall. But your thoughts on the district here as far as matches? Floresville plays at San Marcos and at Somerset. Pleasanton gets Kennedy, Gonzales, and Hondo. Like I said, I saw the score for Poteet along those lines here. Or Poteet gets Uvalde for that here. But your thoughts on this one here? To me, I think it's Floresville. Is
in Pleasanton. Really like that Floresville, that there's a game on there on the schedule there. It would be a good test for them. Pleasanton has a good test on the 27th at Gonzales.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that could be a playoff game right there. A potential playoff game in the first round. So that's, it'll be, like I said, it'll be a good test for them. And then, Hondo, like I said, just starting discipline on 31st at Pleasanton. Same thing with Somerset. Can they knock out Floresville? So it's like I said, but I think, like I said, more likely that your two favorites are going to be Floresville and Pleasanton for this district.
Looking at the brutal district for Region 4, 26 and 4A, Wimberley 9-0-1, Davenport 10-3, 1 Bernie, Como Canyon Lake Hawks, Bandera, Fredericksburg. Great Hots, Northern still on schedule, although they haven't played. So if we see them removed from the schedule, we'll remove them for that here. Matches Canyon Lake and Wimberley, and then at Fredericksburg for Wimberley. Davenport, gets Bandera and Bernie along those lines here. Any matches that stand out for you?
Yeah, that Canyon Lake versus Wimberley is going to be a good test for the Wimberley Lady Texans. Like I said, I see Canyon Lake Lady Hawks. They're one of the 4 teams I think that's going to make the playoffs. So that'll be a good one. And then Fredericksburg's got a tall task going at Bernie. Tomorrow. We'll see if they can if they can start it.
Both matches, Bernie Wimberley. That's a tough one to weigh with the district.
Yeah, and then. I think and then Davenport, like I said, I think we should have no problem with Bandera. Fredericksburg, like I said, we'll see if they give Bernie a game on this one. But like I said, I think the marquee matchup for tomorrow is going to be Wimberley versus Canyon Lake.
Lavernia, Region 4, District 27. Lavernia 5-2, Kennedy 5-4, Yoakum 2-3-2, Fox Tech 2-4, Young Women's Leadership, Gonzales, and Memorial Miniman. The ladies, unfortunately, aren't having the success that the men or the boys had when they dropped down. Matches Lavernia, Pleasanton, East Central, Fox Tech. Yoakum gets Young Women's. Memorial, Fox Tech, Poteet, Lavernia, East Central, Somerset, Kennedy for Memorial. But any big matches out of this district for you at this point?
I think with Lavernia, if you look at their schedule, I know they had a good win versus Pleasanton. They'll get a good test from East Central because, like I said, they're playing a 6A team. That'll be a good test for them right before they start district. And like I said, the rest, like I said, they're just more preparation.
For see how it shakes out.
Yeah, see how they shake, especially like that Somerset Memorial game. Can Memorial the boy, like I said, the Memorial girls can they get a win out of that one? They try to get back to prepare to contend and for maybe one of those last playoff spots.
So 28, Uvalde 8-3, Pleasanton 5-3, Somerset 1-1, Floresville 1-3-2, Hondo, Poteet, and Pearsall. Not a lot of information on them. Uvalde plays played Del Rio against Laredo Johnson, and then at Poteet, Hondo and Pleasanton for that here, Medina Valley and Floresville and Somerset. February 3rd is scheduled the first match for Pearsall, but we'll have to see for that here. But for this district here, it seems like it's Uvalde and
Pleasanton.
Pleasanton, and then draw a name out of the hat, I think, at this point.
Yeah, Uvalde played Del Rio this past Tuesday. They had a 3-0 loss. Like I said, they're playing two divisions up. Del Rio's a playoff team. They went too deep last year, and they got another tough 6A. Well, they have another 6A matchup against LBJ. This tomorrow, so that should be a good for them. Floresville, like I said, dropping down from 5A to 4A. They got like I said, that loss with Medina Valley, but they're playing quality teams. Mm-hmm. So, but as far as the district overall, like I said, I think it's going to It's going to come down to Uvalde and Pleasanton. Yeah. I think Floresville might maybe get that third spot, and then we'll see. The rest is going to be a dogfight for that last spot.
Looking at 5A here, Smithson Valley, the number 3 ranked team, 8-0. Pipe Wars 7-2, Canyon Cougarettes 7-2, Kerrville Tivy 4-2-1, Veterans Memorial 3-4, and this is where you were talking about for Bernie Champion, only 2-4, and then Wagner and Seguin. Looking at the schedule, Kerrville Tivy, Seguin for Smithson Valley, Piper, Seguin, and Wagner. So good way to start the district, assuming that they hold their own. Canyon Cougarettes and Kerrville on the 31st. For that here, and then Kerrville Tivy and Smithson Valley for that here. So, your thoughts on District 26 and 5A?
Like I said, one of the brutal districts in our region, and right off the bat, you said you have Kerrville Tivy at Smithson Valley. That's going to be a good game. Can Kerrville Tivy, like I said, I've heard good things about them. They said they have talent. Can they take that step and go out Smithson Valley and get a win, or even a positive result, steal some points. Same thing with Piper. Like I said, coming into their district play, they should have no problem against Seguin. Wagner, they have a tall test against Bernie Champion. Bernie Champion, don't let that record fool you. Like I said, I think they're going to be one of the top 2 teams for within the district. And then Canyon, like I said, a tough one with Veterans Memorial. I think that should be a pretty good game, but I think Canyon should take care of business there.
27, Alamo Heights 7-3, 4-0 in district. MacArthur 5-4, 3-0 in district. Jefferson 3-1. Edison 2-2, Highland Owls 2-2, Burbank 1-2, Sam Houston 1-3 for that here. Looking at the schedule, Alamo Heights has Lanier and Burbank, Jefferson, Highlands, and MacArthur. Highland Owls, Jefferson, Lanier, and Burbank for that here, or they had Jefferson on the 24th. MacArthur, Jefferson, and Lanier. Edison and Brackenridge. Your thoughts on kind of on the District 27?
The key game for this Friday is going to be that MacArthur against Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Jefferson was the district champ from last year. Can they, like I said, now this is one of their first tests, against MacArthur. MacArthur moving up from 6A to 5A. And I think they're facing Jefferson's facing their former coach too. So it's gonna be interesting. There's a lot at stake in this game, and like I said, kudos to MacArthur. Like I said, they've started well in district play, and if they can knock off Jefferson, like I said, they can. We'll see when they match up. I don't know when they play Alamo Heights, but that's probably going to be probably the key game for that district. But tomorrow for sure, that game, MacArthur against Jefferson is going to be a barn burner.
28 Southwest 6-2 for the ladies here. Medina 5-4-2. Southside 6-6-1. I was reading they're off to their best start in many years. South San 4-5. Southwest Legacy 2-5-2. Wynn, Harlandale, and McCollum. McCollum's 1-1. Only 2 matches played here. I think I had that correct here, but Southwest kicks off against Eagle Pass win. Medina Valley, Floresville has Medina Valley has Floresville, South San, and then Southwest for that here. Southwest Legacy, Laredo United, McCollum Southside. So your thoughts on this one here is the big match, the Southwest Medina Valley out of this week?
Yeah, for this week, for the 27th, like I said, that's going to be more than likely the one interesting game might be that South San at Harlandale. I mean, that South San's kind of creeped up. No one's been talking about them. I think that move. Like I said, they also moved down from 6A to 5A, and I know they're below 500, but I think they played some good teams, and I wouldn't be surprised, and they're in the mix in that for the last playoff spot. Yeah, Medina, like I said, Medina Valley versus Southwest on the 31st. That's going to be the key game there. That's going to determine that'll determine if Medina Valley can get that win. Like I said, hey, they got a good shot of winning the district. But like I said, I'm still going to give the edge to Southwest Lady Dragons on that
one. Moving to District 26, 5A, Piper 9-2-1. Kerrville Tivy 5-3-2. Bernie Champion 3-0-1. Smithson Valley 5-5-1. Canyon 4-4-1. Wagner Veterans Memorial in Seguin. This one's shaping up to be pretty tasty come district time. Piper has Steel. Kerrville Tivy plays on the 27th. Smithson Valley and then at Canyon. Bernie Champion gets Veterans Memorial on the 31st. Canyon gets Veterans Memorial on the 24th, and then Kerrville Tivy on the 31st. Smithson Valley has Kerrville Tivy and Seguin. Piper doesn't really, only played Steel and didn't have anybody else this week here. So, your thoughts on the matches here? Is it kind of Kerrville Tivy with Smithson Valley and Canyon as the team to watch for this district?
Yeah, well, keep your eye on Smithson Valley Rangers, the boys. I know the record. It's another. If you look at their record, it doesn't reflect on what they've, but they've played some quality teams. And it's kind of the same situation like what Bernie Champion girls are. Like I said, the record doesn't reflect on them. I think they're going to be up there to challenge. Like I said, Bernie Champion and Piper. Piper's got a good start. If they stay consistent, that's the big thing. Can you beat some of the more tougher teams in your district? We'll see if Kerrville Tivy boys are for real. Like I said, they had a good start. Same thing with Comal Canyon, the Canyon Cougars. Their boys usually are play well each year and make a run and, like I said, make the playoffs. So there's about at least good 5-6 teams that are going to be fighting for those playoff spots.
27 Alamo Heights 9-2, 4-0. Brackenridge 7-3, 3-0 in district. Edison, Jefferson, both 3-1. And you see kind of a gap. MacArthur at 1-2, Burbank 1-2, Sam Houston 1-3, and Lanier and Highlands for that here. Alamo Heights has Lanier and Burbank, Brackenridge, Houston, Sam Houston, Edison, Brackenridge, Sam Houston, and Brackenridge on the 24th. Jefferson has Highlands and MacArthur. So that one seems to be a big one on the 27th. And then MacArthur has Lanier. Lanier, unfortunately, they had Alamo Heights yesterday. Then they get Highlands and then MacArthur here. So thoughts on the match here? I'm assuming the big one is Jefferson and MacArthur.
Yeah, that one, that could determine, that final playoff spot, and I really thought, MacArthur, moving down would be, more into the contention, maybe a little bit higher, but that hasn't been the case because, like I said, District 27 5A is it's a good district especially for boys soccer. And you look, like I said, I was at the game last week when I, for that Brandeis and league game, but I stayed to watch the Breckenridge versus MacArthur. MacArthur had a lead, and then Breckenridge ended up tying it up, and they lost it. They lost in penalty kicks, and that's how they do on their tiebreakers for this district. So, I kind of
Medicine too tomorrow
yeah.
is also a big one there. I missed that one here. That's 2 versus 3.
Yeah, that's another big one. Like I said, Edison, I've seen them play. They had that one comeback win against Davenport. They had a tough loss against Alamo Heights, but like I said, I think they're going to be in contention again. They have a good squad. Like I said, they have great talent. That's going to be a really good game between those and see who gets into that second spot.
28 Harlandale 11-1-1. I know we talked about them earlier. Southwest 7-1, Medina Valley 7-5-1, and then Southwest Legacy, Southside, Eagle Pass, Win, McCollum, South San. Pick a name for that 4th slot here. Harlandale gets Southside, South San, Southwest Dragons get Eagle Pass, Win, and then Medina Valley. But I think this week here is what the Medina Valley Southwest match is probably the prime match of the week.
Yeah, for the 31st, that one. But also keep an eye on that Southside game too with Harlandale. Southside, they could sneak up on them and give Harlandale a challenge. So just that's one game to keep your eye on that one. But like I said, the one I'm looking forward to later on is going to be that Harlandale Southwest game, right, which is more likely to be in February.
And moving to 6A, Steel, Converse Judson, Schertz Clemens has kind of rebounded. They had a good year after good week after slow start. New Braunfels, East Central, and San Marcos. Cibolo gets Piper, San Angelo Central, Memorial. And then New Braunfels gets Lavernia. Schertz gets this one might be a Kennedy, Clemens. That might be a good one. Let me just see if I can make sure that is Memorial on the boys' side here. If it's Memorial, like we're thinking here. But your thoughts on this district here, as far as it's just like I said, it's missing a team.
Yeah, it's been a dogfight, but my favorite going in was New Braunfels because of what they did last, they've done the last couple of years. But like I said, they've played some tough teams. I know Cibolo State, if you look on their schedule, they got a tough one coming up, a good test, which is let me see if I can see the schedule. That game versus tomorrow against San Angelo Central. And I've played against San Angelo Central when I was in Del Rio. When we've gone up there, we had some battles. They got some good players up there. It's a good test for Cibolo Steel there. If they can get a win over San Angelo, that's a good way, for them to, get a notch on their belt to going into the district play. Other key games, Clemens versus Kennedy. Could that be I'm not saying like a trap game as far as district play, but Kennedy's been playing well, and Kennedy, if they can get a win over Clemens, will be a good win for them, especially like I said, coming in from them being a 4A team. So that should be a good one. And other, Converse, like I said, they're against Wagner because I played Wagner. I think they won that game. So some good tests for some of these teams. That New Braunfels, actually, I think is that should be another good game too against Lavernia because it's kind of like a little backyard brawl there. They're not too far away. that's a good test for Livernia. But like I said, New Braunfels, like I said, playing a playoff team, getting prepared for the district play.
District 28 boys, Lee, number one team, 10-1, Brandeis 5-3. Johnson, Reagan, Churchill, all at 2-1 in district for that here. Madison 2-2, Clark 1-3, Marshall and Roosevelt, at the bottom here. Any chance for Clark to get back into it, or any of these teams that are kind of on the outside to get back into it, or you think it's going to be these top four?
I think it could be maybe. I would include maybe Churchill. They're Churchill's still in contention as far as one of the four that last playoff spot. As far as the district title, I mean, it's still right now. Like I said, Lee's in control. Well, they're tied with Brandeis, but like I said, Lee's kind of made a statement knocking off Reagan. We'll see what happens between the Reagan Brandeis game, which is coming up pretty soon. And
this week here, Johnson plays at Clark against Reagan on the 30th. Reagan has Lee, Madison, and then Johnson for the here. Lee, Reagan, and Marshall. Clark, Johnson, and Churchill. Brandeis, Churchill, Roosevelt. So that would be a big one there if you're thinking Churchill staying in it. Just trying to think through here, but yeah. So to me, what Reagan Johnson on the 30th is probably the big one of the week.
Yeah, which is I think the Ian's Cup, I believe. So that's going to be a tough test. That's going to can Reagan bounce back, and also with Johnson too. They were in contention a little bit last year, and it's a big game. For the district play. You don't want to get to those losses. These wins help out as far as going on to later on into the district play. But I still think, like I said, I still think it's those three teams as far as fighting for the district title. Reagan has a loss. Like I said, they still have that big game coming up with Brandeis soon. Can Churchill challenge Johnson? That's the thing there. Can they challenge him for that fourth spot? And like I said, they got a tough test this Friday at against Brandeis. If they can come out with a tie, that'll be great for them. Coming out with points from some of the teams ahead of you, it's great. And then they have a good a winnable game against Clark. It's going to be a tough one for them, but I think it's still winnable for them.
29, Harlan 6-1-1, 5-0, Holmes 7-2-1, 2-1, John Jay 6-3-2, O'Connor, Warren 4-5-2, Brennan 6-2-2, which is kind of if you're looking at through there, and then I think there's probably a gap. Then Stevens, Sotomayor, and Taft through here. Harlan gets Sotomayor and Holmes, which I kind of highlighted here earlier as far as a big match for Holmes. Gets Jay Holmes. That's a traditional one. Warren gets Taft, Brennan, and O'Connor on the 31st. So that's a big one for there. So and O'Connor has Brennan and Warren. So tough week. No easy weeks on this one.
I think the one that maybe, Harlan. I think they should have no problem with Sotomayor, and like I said, Holmes finally gets it. They'll have two tests coming up. They got a good Jade squad, and like I said, they have to see if they can get by them, and that'll be that showdown with Harlan. Can they get some points from the Harlan and get a tie or a win? I think Harlan, if they can get these two wins, they're going to pretty much stretch themselves away from the pack, and I think there's going to be a real big logjam for those second, third, and fourth spots. I think there's about four or five teams that are going to be contending for those last three playoff spots. And this year, and like I said, you can see who the class act is right now.
Yeah, I think the top six, right? Brennan, Ware, O'Connor, John Jay, Holmes, and Harlan. John Jay, has always been the team that you kind of discounted, but it was always there. Holmes is kind of the new one that's kind of stepped up this year. And we'll see if they've got the staying power to stay up. Moving to 6A 2027 on the girls here. New Braunfels. I got to bring that down next. 6-4-1. Converse Judson 6-6. San Marcos 5-4-2. East Central Shirts and Civil Steel. San Angelo Central, and then Antonian for New Braunfels. So quality week there. San Marcos against Wimberley. Converse and Smithson, and Steele and Los Fresnos, and then Clemens gets Laredo, Alexander, and Gonzalez. So 2 Valley teams through here in San Angelo Central. Your thoughts kind of on playing outside of San Antonio for the 27 ladies?
Yeah, I think Clemens did beat Alexander, so I think that was a good win for them. Yeah, the ones on the 24th. I don't know if Wimberley knocked. I'm sure they knocked out San Marcos. I don't know about the East Central. I'm sure East Central won that game. But as far as, and then I know Spencer Valley beat Judson. But for this weekend, Nebraska's Lady Unicorns, they got a tough test. San Angelo Central Lady Bobcats. They're usually one of the top teams for their district. I think it's District 6A. They're always in contention with the district title. And also they make deep runs in that Region 1, which a lot of those Metroplex teams. But like I said, Nebraska's got two big games. Like I said, also at Antonia right before the district play, which is good for them. Like I said, it's just preparation. Steele, they got a tough one with Los Fresnos. Los Fresnos girls is usually one of the better teams in the Valley for 6A. I think that game's on Saturday, which maybe you may maybe see me pop up there. Who knows? We'll keep that. We'll see. Clemens, like I said, I think they should have no problem with Gonzalez. Like I said, they'll take care. They'll win that game.
Yes.
And then these
San Angelo Central 7-1-1 on the year so far. Second in Region 1, District 2. Second to Friendship, who's 9-1-1. So
yeah, that District 2 is a bar burner because you also have Permian. You also got Midland High. They got some good quality teams, and also the freshman team. So good choices for real Waffles to get ready for district play.
So District 28 girls, Lee, as we talked about, undefeated. Johnson, Reagan, Clark, Madison, and then kind of a gap. Churchill, Brandeis, Marshall had a good out of district season. Unfortunately, District 0-3 so far. And then Roosevelt for here. So looking at schedule, Lee gets Reagan and Marshall, Madison.
Which they won 1-0.
Yeah, so I got to do the 27th there. Reagan and Madison. When I do that here, got them back here, flipped here. And Johnson's, Clark, and Reagan. And just trying to see here, Brandeis, Churchill through here. But to me, the Reagan-Madison match is probably the big one.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for Reagan. Madison's got a good squad. It's not a gamey game, and they usually have great games in the district play. Another one to kind of keep out is that Johnson at Clark.
Yeah.
Clark, even though they had a 1-0 loss when I saw them against Reagan, they still had a good team. I think they were good defensively. They just kind of fell asleep on one of the plays. But they have a really good goalkeeper. How they fix their issues with scoring, like with their forwards. If they can find like a number 9 to put the ball in the net, I think they're going to start challenging for one of those playoff spots because I know they're rebuilding this year. Johnson, like I said, it'll be a tough game for them. And what you can say about Lee, a big win what they had over Reagan, and can they keep up the momentum and move forward and kind of get a stranglehold on the district title.
And in the final group, 29, Taft, the number 1 team in the Rafa pound-by-pound rankings, 7-0, 3-0. Sotomayor Wildcats 7-3-0. Warren 9-3. O'Connor 8-3, and then Jay down here 9-3-1, but 1-3 in district. Brennan 6-4, 1-2. Stevens 2-5-1, 1-2-1 in district here. But your thoughts on District 29 for that here? Is it just the top 4, or do you think anybody can move in? Harlan seems like they've lost a lot. I don't know if with Sotomayor, they lost a lot to Sotomayor or what, but Harlan's historically been very good. But your thoughts on the 29 girls?
To me, it's still the 3 teams is still going to be Taft, O'Connor, and Brennan. Like I said, right off the bat, Brennan, Taft, and O'Connor played each other, and then now they're playing now they're going to be playing the rest. As you can see here, like I said, O'Connor got a big win over Brennan this past Tuesday.
Right.
But O'Connor's going to get a test with Warren, so
Right.
that'll be a good game. Can Warren take that next step and steal some points, from one of those top 3 teams? But you can see Warren right there.
Warren's got tough. Brennan and then O'Connor.
Yeah, they lost to Taft, but like I said, they got Brennan and O'Connor. That'll say something there where they're at as far as the district play. If they're going to get that, could they be that fourth team? Sotomayor is the same way. Can they knock off? Like I said, I think that they'll be favored against Jay.
They played Jay yesterday, but they get Harlan tomorrow, and then Taft on Tuesday the 31st.
Yeah,
or that here. So through there.
Sotomayor, Sotomayor. I think if they can get a win of Harlan, it sets up to see where they're at against Taft. That's gonna tell. I think for me, like I said, the last playoff spot's gonna come down to. I think it's gonna be Sotomayor and Warren. Can Jake turn things around? We'll see. They started out with a great record, but they've dropped 3 in district play. So can they bounce back? But for me, like I said, I think it's gonna be Taft, O'Connor, Brennan, and then the last spot's probably be fought by Sotomayor and Warren.
So that was a lot, Rafa. The power rankings and the standings and looking at the schedules for here. I'll make sure I clean up the schedules here. I kind of was, pushing that through, trying to go through and trying to get this set up maybe a little bit more this weekend to be ahead of time here. But getting into the busy season, Rafa.
Yeah.
Everybody's in districts for the most part along those lines here. But any closing thoughts you got? I know Coach Cano, mentioned that this is going to be a fun district to watch. With talking about the 29. I think all the districts.
I think most of the majority of them. Yeah, even 28 6A for the girls is going to be a fun district to play because, like I said, like Lee girls, they didn't make the playoffs last year, but they've come roaring into this season, and you got some other teams too. They're like Piper. They're contention. For the boys and the girls. So we'll see what comes out of this district play coming up, and for the ones are going to go in district play, we still have some that are still doing non-district games. Like I said, I'm interested in that one game. That New Braunfels San Angelo Central game is going to be a great one. Steele versus Los Fresnos is going to be another good one too. For not one of the last kind of like pivotal non-district games leading to their district. So it's going to be a fun weekend, and the weather may be. I know Saturday games it may be a little wet, but it wasn't like bad as in the past.
Not so bad, but if it's wet and cold, that's where.
It wasn't like that killer Timberwood and Salt Lake Carroll boys game in the snow on Tuesday night. So we kind of like that on that, but I'm sure that was a fun game to play in. I'm sure I can imagine some of the Panhandle teams playing like 2 inches or 3 inches of snow on the field. So, but some great games coming up, and look forward to it. And then, and also like next week, like I said, I'll be coming out with the state power rankings. Because I'll be coming on with the
50-50.
50-50, yeah. So there'll be some changes on that. I have to do my work on that and see. Because like I said, there are some teams that I thought, hey, they're ranked high, and there's some teams that have been some surprises too. So they've pushed up. So tune in next I think Monday for that.
Yeah, like I said, the 50-50 with Coach Cano and Rafa and Steve, right?
Steve. Yeah,
the new addition. If you follow him on his Instagram, he does a lot of barbecuing. So
Royal Barbecue. Check it out. It's real good.
Through there here, but Rafa, it's been fun. Like I said here, we might have to discuss if we want to still do both of them, or maybe if we do the power rankings and don't do the standings, or maybe just highlight certain games for that here. But it's always fun to get with you. Don't forget inside the
Texas
Soccer hashtag TXHSSOC along those lines here, and of course 210 Soccer Scores and for that here. But Rafa, we're getting closer to playoff season. I'm resting up for for the bracketology. We've got to start putting firm plans together and seeing how districts break out and along those lines here. And is it too soon to do playoff brackets?
I think so. I mean, I actually saw the video this over the weekend, a little bit of it. It's like, 6 hours. So we're going to break that record. We're going to do an 8-hour marathon and stuff, especially, hopefully, like I said, I think by that time, like I said, we'll be able to break it down, especially who we have on and some insight. Hopefully, like I said, we'll have some insight, some people from from the Metroplex. Hopefully we can get Scott on, because he has got an insight with him, especially like in the Wichita Falls area and so forth. Coach Cano has his insight with El Paso and a couple of other guys. Hopefully we can get some guys from the Valley.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see what we can do. But like I said here, it's been fun. Thank you for everybody tuning in, Coach Cano. Like I said, always nice to hear from you for that here. And please bust. Coach Cano wants to do 15 hours, 3 hours a day, 5 days straight. We can.
4A, 5A, 6A.
We can break it down along those lines here. That might be what we have to do is split it up. To me, there's two ways to do it. Either do boys one night and girls the other night, do conferences.
The classifications.
The classifications along those lines here. But yeah, that is something that we all of us need to probably come together and decide how do we want to do it. It's cool to do the long show, but I think towards the end of it, I think we're just like, okay, yeah, this here, okay, yeah, this here, and along those lines here. So, but
because the last time we finished, we're like close to past midnight.
Oh, it was one something.
Was it 1 in the morning?
Because we started it at 6, right?
6.
So, and it was what, 6 hours?
6, 7 hours, almost 6, 7 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So close to. By the time I got it uploaded, it was after 1. So along those lines here, but that's to be determined. Like I said, if you have any comments, feedback, Rafa, what's your handle where they can chirp at you? Obviously, they can go to the SATX Soccer. I think that's what it is, right? SATX Soccer. On Twitter. But we're also on Facebook and Instagram. But Rafa, you're YouTube.
Mine is Papa Socceritis. They can see me there. You can send me some. You'll see all my goals for Real Madrid for today. Tweeted those and stuff.
And mine's at Ram and Call. But of course, Rafa is the high school soccer expert. I'm the one that tries to put together everything correctly, and I still make mistakes. But try to guides the ship. But that's a lot to put together for that here. But I need an intern. Let me see about getting an intern.
You can get AJ. AJ intern.
Oh, AJ. Well, I won't say this on air, but. AJ's got AJ problems. We'll just.
I gotta make sure I go check them out for one of the games. So you gotta let me know when they play, so I can check them out.
It'd be a couple of games before you can do that, but I'll tell you off air. But what's life without goals? We're out of here, and hope everybody has
Sunday
a wonderful evening and stay warm.